Hey everyone, it's Richard S. at Richard's Vinyl Tap House, back with another video for the week. This one was inspired by a series of tapes I was making from about 1987 to 92-ish, I think, where I would systematically add a song that really was amazing to me that year over the course of the year to make a whole year-long mixtape. And it came about mostly in 87 pivotally because that was a year where I really saw my musical interests were diversifying a lot. I was starting to get into jazz and things and a bunch of other genres besides just metal and new wave and stuff like that. Anyway, what I thought I would do was look at 1987 as a year, look at 7 albums that I bought right away, had to have them, they were essential to me for reasons. And then 7 albums that from 1987 that I bought much later for other reasons. So, and some of which I didn't even know re-released in 1987. So let's get started. First, these are the albums that I picked up in 1987 right off the bat. REM's Document was definitely an essential for me. There's so many good songs on here. Finest Work song, Welcome to the Occupation. I love King of Birds off this one. It's one of my favorites. This was essential. It was on the radio a lot. It was on MTV's 120 Minutes, which was huge to me in 1987. So REM's Document was a must-have that year, as was Husker Du's Warehouse. This is a RSD later pressing. My OG is up on a wall somewhere in the house. I love the artwork on this. The album cover is stunning. This is the last studio album from Husker Du. Little did we know, but it had some great songs on here. Both camps of Bob Mould and Grant Hart, who were kind of at odds musically, which is kind of why the band disbanded. I love on this one. Where is it? Oh, there it is. No Reservations. I love that song. There's a double album, so there's a ton of stuff on there. But that was an essential pick for me because I was massively into Husker Du. This, I vividly remember, had the first song from that series of tapes I was talking about. This is Guadalcanal's Diary 2x4. I absolutely adore this album. And for that very first song called Litany, which was an MTV 120 Minutes video that was on repeat a lot, bought this album immediately, fell in love with that song, fell in love with this band. I have pretty much everything they did. Another one where the album cover is just stunning. It's actually up on the wall right there. And yeah, great album from 1987 that I picked up right off the bat. Now, being a massive Sammy Hagar and Van Halen guy, obviously I picked up Sammy's last solo album, kind of like a Geffen release requirement before he really got kicking with Van Halen. It's a self-titled album, but then it had another name like I Never Said Goodbye that was voted by MTV fans to be an album title, and that's what they picked. Great on here is oh gosh. There's Sammy. Hi, Sammy. Boys Night Out. When the Hammer Falls Down. Give to Live was a single off of this. Great album. Did I see him on this tour? There wasn't a tour for this because he was busy with Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen's kind of all over, peppered on this one, and that kind of put Eddie at odds with the other members of Van Halen. It's a mess. Anyway, moving on. Longtime Public Image Limited fan, Happy came out in 1987. What is on here that's fantastic? Seattle. I remember seeing Seattle come up on, again, MTV's 120 Minutes. Can be a repeating theme. Loved the video, loved the song, had to get the album. Loved another album cover I really like. I think John Lydon did a lot of their artwork for All Pill albums. It still does. 1987 was a big year for this band, the Smiths. I think I counted 3 albums came out this year. It was Strange Ways, this one, and one other that completely, it wasn't Rank, I don't think. But yeah, Smith's Louder Than Bombs, kind of a retrospective of earlier Smith's tunes, all of which are just banging. I remember this coming out. I was thinking, wow, this is a new double album from the Smiths. And it was to me because I didn't know any of these songs. So, lo and behold, later on, I found out, oh, this is a compilation. Last one, number 7. This woman changed a little bit of the way I listen to music in some ways. Sinead O'Connor's The Lion and the Cobra, stellar debut album. This was just massive. Mandinka was a single. Troy was the first video I ever saw of her, and I was just like, I have to get this album. A lot of these in 87 I probably had originally on CD, because that was a year when I was really getting more into CDs. But, my Louder Than Bombs, definitely an OG vinyl. Now, what about the later stuff? How come I didn't pick these up in 1987? Well, let's talk about it. Spacemen 3's The Perfect Prescription. Kind of almost like dark wave, shoegaze, trippy, drone tone. I was probably like dabbling into shoegaze at this time, but I certainly wasn't into it yet. Members from Spacemen 3 became either Sonic Boom went solo and Spiritualized, neither of which projects I really got into, but I have almost everything that Spacemen 3 did. Didn't pick this up until like 20 years down the line. Actually, I picked this album up, I bought it used, in June of 2027. No, 2027? That's 2 years from now. 2017. So yeah, I was late to the game with Spaceman 3, but that came out in 1987. Didn't pick it up until a lot later. I did have the House Martins, Hall Zero, the one with, that one. House Martins, The People Who Grinned Themselves to Death was recommended to me much later, like maybe 15 years ago, from some Facebook vinyl friends, and then it's like, oh man, you have to get this album, it's so good. They were right. This is actually, I like this one better than Hall. Go figure. I don't know if there were singles off of this, but this is a solid album, a continuation of kind of what they've been doing, and it's really interesting that I really never got into Heaton's solar work after House Martins. I don't know why. Here's the one where it's like, obvious reasons why I didn't buy this album. Yeah. Butthole Surfer's Locus of Orchid Technician. This is a very strange little album. Gibby Haynes and Company, which, he did some collabs with Ministry and this and that, but which I was into. I was into Ministry at this point, but never picked up on this album. It is one strange one. But, it's one of those, a list of, essential listening, top 500 albums released in the 80s type thing. It's a good album. It's just very, very strange and way ahead of its time for 1987. I probably picked that up about, again, 15 years ago. This one surprised me how late I got into the Jesus and Mary chain. I knew of Psycho Candy, which came out 2 years prior to this. But Darklands, I didn't pick this up till maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Not really knowing what Jesus and Mary Chain were all about. I knew they were kind of influential moving into the shoegaze genre as a whole. But a fabulous album, but very different from Psycho Candy, possibly in a good way. Late to the game. 3 more, folks. Hang in there. Whew. George Harrison's Cloud 9, a great Jeff Lynne produced album that had Got My Mind Set on You as the single, which I liked. I just never picked up this album. I had Somewhere in England before, but never got into this one. Love this cover too. Great album cover. I should hang this on the wall. George Harrison. I was into the Beatles, but I wasn't into a lot of the Beatles solo stuff outside of mostly McCartney and some Lennon. So I was very late to the game on this album, on this one, but it's a great album. Uh, this one does surprise me. I didn't pick it up until later. Love and Rockets, Earth, Sun, Moon. The big song on here was, you're probably thinking of it already. Oh man, I can't find it. No New Tale to Tell. I knew that. Yeah, another MTV 120 minutes song, which I didn't like as much, so it didn't immediately grab me. Really loved Seventh Dream of Teenage Heaven album, which was on repeat for ages. This was kind of a little more harder edged and less gothy, if you will. A little bit more radio friendly. So I was pretty late to this album, but it was a good one to pick up. I have most Love and Rockets now. This last one also surprised me is at how late I picked up Depeche Mode's Music for the Masses album. Much, much, much later, probably early 2000s. A friend of mine was selling off his collection, and I picked up several early Depeche Mode, which I never had. I was into like Violator and later Depeche Mode, but this had Strange Love on it, which is a great song, and never had it as the album. So I'm still not a, I don't have it, I'm not anywhere near a completist for Depeche Mode. So there you have it. 7 albums I picked up in 87 right away. 7 albums that I was kind of late to the game picking up. But yeah, that was a great year for music. If you're thinking about maybe, what's a year you might have the same thing. I kind of approached this from a year that I know I bought a lot of music that kind of influenced the way I was listening to music. So if you want to try this, go for it. I would love to see what you guys come up with. Hey, everybody have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon. All right? Bye.